Welcome to the Impactful Entrepreneur Show with Adrienne Hill, a place for online business industry expertise and thought leadership, where you can build the skills, structure, and systems you need to thrive in business and have a lasting impact in your industry. Let's do this. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another power-packed training. Today, I am here with the one and only Helen Martin. She resides in a small coastal town in southern Australia with her husband, Paul, and two teenage boys. She has accounting qualifications, a Bachelor of Business majoring in marketing, and she's even studied law. She's gone from being a general manager in the corporate world to building multiple streams of income from home in the online world. And lately, it's social media marketing that's captured her attention. Now, over the last few years, Helen has become a multiple six-figure earner. She's mentored hundreds of online marketing students around the globe, and she's built a network marketing organization of over 4,500 people, team members and customers alike. And she's founded her online crew brand and coaching community. She's also recently become a #1 best-selling author for her book, Journey to Success. And today she'll be talking to us about the power of personal branding and the role that video can play in creating that brand for you. So welcome, Helen. I'm so excited to dive deep into personal branding with you today.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. And it's just, exciting to talk to you today about this topic.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we dive into all the good stuff, for those in the audience who perhaps are meeting you for the first time, can you tell us just a little bit about your story and how is it that you found yourself in this place of being expert on personal branding and video marketing, and how did that come to pass?
Good question. And my story is not quite the same to a lot of people and how they fell in this industry. So just to give you the short version, if you haven't picked up my accent yet, I live in Australia. So I am in a small country town in Australia. And here I really got into the corporate world and worked my way up the ladder with study and ended up as a general manager. And that was my life. That was my world. That's all I knew. I'm not sure if anyone can relate to this in the corporate world, but once you kind of get a title, it becomes a big part of who you are.
Yeah.
So my identity was tied up in being a general manager, and I was in that executive world for a long time. Then a family member of ours passed away very suddenly, playing tennis, dropped, didn't survive it, like real shock to the family. And that, spare you the details, but basically what that meant is we had to pick up our life and move to the country to take care of a whole lot of family affairs. So it was like, what do? Do I commute for an extra hour and a half to 2 hours a day, either side of the day? My boys were very young at the time, and life was crazy living in the city. So it was like, I can't do that to my boys. I can't do it to my husband, and I certainly can't do it to myself. So I reluctantly resigned. So there I was, being very comfortable with a high six-figure income, security, everything was known, everything was predictable, to nothing, no income, country town, no job opportunities like I'd sort of had. And I was like, what the hell am I going to do here? I've never felt so uncomfortable in my life.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. How nerve-wracking. I would be a wreck. I mean, because all of this just happened very suddenly. You had no advance notice whatsoever, of course. And so here's your new reality.
Exactly. And it is actually, they say all good things come from, I am a big believer that things happen for a reason. But I actually found myself out of that because my identity was tied up in being a general manager, and I didn't know who I was or what I wanted to do or how I could help people or what I wanted to do as a career without the title. So take the title away and I was completely lost. I'd never not worked. Even my boys are only 14 months apart, and I didn't take maternity leave. I'm not sure what they call it over there. Here it's maternity leave, when you have kids. And they didn't replace me. I was breastfeeding in the office and pumping and, doing all the things that women do. So I'd never not been sort of working. So get into an environment where you suddenly not working. It's like, who am I and what am I going to do?
Yeah. So, not only were you not working, you were a city girl suddenly living in the country.
Absolutely.
And that's a big change too.
Yeah.
On top of all the grief and everything going on in your family.
Absolutely. Huge changes sort of all round. So this little thing called network marketing came and found me. Now I wasn't oblivious to it. I'd sort of dabbled before. I was open to entrepreneurialism and all that kind of stuff, but I was never really into it. It wasn't something I really wanted to do. The stigma that goes with it. I'm sure a lot of people familiar with that, and it's like, oh, I don't know what I want to do with that. But I thought I do have the time, and once I'd allowed myself to relax for about, a few months, it's like I don't want to go back to that. I don't. I want to go and pick up my kids from school and drop them off. I did reading in the classroom for the first time. It was so cool. It was like I was one of those mums that could be there for their kids, and I'm like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
So I delved in, and I was awful at it. I went back to a lot of my corporate friends, and that was hard, because a lot of them are like, why would you do something like that? Like, what's wrong with you? What's happened to you? Like, that's that network marketing thing. Like, it was awful.
Yeah.
So from that experience, I went, but I did have some success with the people in the country town, but they weren't the kind of entrepreneurial people that it really kind of takes to build this, be successful, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trying to put anybody down. But I'm like, I'm going to do this differently. So I just started looking online, and I'm like, there's got to be another way. I wanted to get away from my corporate friends. I want to get away from these small country town people, no offense to anybody, but you know what I mean. And so I studied, and I invested heavily. And I went to America like 4 years in a row before COVID hit for mentorship and training. And I just delved in and, made the sacrifices that a lot of us have to do to get where we sort of are today. And that sent me on a journey of learning online marketing, not knowing a clue about it. Like, I might have a different perspective when people say, you've got to find your passion. And if you're not passionate about it, it won't work. I didn't have a passion for online marketing, attraction marketing, social media. I knew nothing. It wasn't something I was ever looking to do. But I tell you, I've grown a passion. So I am a believer that if you're interested and you're keen and you know what your goals and dreams are, and you find a vehicle that you can sort of stand behind and grow with, you can find a passion. You don't necessarily have to have the passion in the first place. So I've sort of grown a passion. So the one thing that I started with quite early, I had no idea what I was doing, was I got told you probably should do live video.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, but what do I talk about? Like, I'm a nobody. I haven't recruited anybody online. I don't know anything about social media or attraction marketing. Like, how am I going to do that? And it was literally, here's a book, a personal development book. There's 13 chapters in this book. Just start quoting from, like, just read it, regurgitate it. And that's all I did initially.
Yeah.
And things have come and gone. I've done blogging. I've come out of blogging. I've done different things and come out of it. But live video is the one thing that I've done consistently. And there is no faster way. There is no faster way for people to get to know, like, and trust you than when you turn up and talk.
Yeah. And so you used video as the catalyst to help you build a very strong personal brand.
Absolutely. It's the one consistent. I'm not the best at creative writing or email marketing. I mean, I do it all now, and I've learnt those skills, but, anybody can, as long as you get over the initial fear, you can turn a camera on, you can look at the camera, and you can talk. Like, anybody can do it. You just got to get over those initial fears, which I do appreciate people do have.
Yeah.
But it's the fastest way for people to get to know, like, and trust us as a person, and build a personal brand and stand behind it. And I do believe having the success that I've had in a relatively short period of time really is through live video, because I had to lighten up on myself, because I was really hard on myself when I first came online. It's like, why am I not more successful? Why am I not recruiting more people? Why am I not making more money? And it's like, hang on. You studied for years to get into the corporate world, to get to the general manager, to, it's a career, it's a lifetime that you get to the big ranks in corporate, and that we're here on social media for 5 minutes and we all want success like that. But what has sped it up, I do believe, is showing my face, being genuine, authentic. But gee, did it take a while to let those walls down. I still had the suit on, not literally maybe. Yeah. But I still had the corporate hat on when I first did live video, and it didn't work. And I remember crying to my husband one day saying, I know I'm not stupid, but it's taking me like 2 hours to get through like a 5-minute video. I'm researching it, I'm writing it, I'm memorizing it, then I'm delivering the live, because, you can't have notes. That would be a sign of weakness. Like, I have notes all the time now. Like, the things that we think are important were not important. And I wasn't connecting with anyone on social media because I was the corporate Helen.
You were the untouchable, perfect general manager, Helen, not the vulnerable, real human Helen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what really taught me a valuable lesson, it still sticks with me today. I was just putting some photos up on a website, my social media and stuff like that, and I had two photos. I had one with one of my corporate red jackets on, the corporate look, I've got a cupboard still full of suits.
Very polished, very put together, very like there could be a photo of you in some directory somewhere,
Exactly.
Yes.
And that was my identity. That was who I knew Helen to be. So I had that photo. And then I had some casual photos in a black top. They're still around today on my social media with a necklace on it. It's just a little bit more casual. So I put it out to my community that I'd started to build. And I'm like, which one do you like? Like for my socials and stuff like that. Hands down, I was like, it's going to be the red jacket. They're going to love the red jacket.
No.
We don't know who that is. That's not the Helen I know. That Helen is not relatable. That Helen looks untouchable. And I'm like, what?
Like that Helen looks intimidating.
Absolutely.
That Helen looks like she might fire me if I don't do a good job.
Exactly. So that blew me away. But it was really like, you know what? It's time to let go. It's time to let the walls down. It's time to just be Helen. So now they get I mix up my words. They just get Helen now on live. Yes. But that's how you make connections on social media. And people are, I think, they underestimate how much people want genuine human connection, even through a camera.
Yeah.
People are still looking for that genuineness and that authenticity.
Yeah.
Even though we're on other sides of the world.
Yeah.
My community, most of my community is not in Australia. I have a huge US and a UK and a Canadian sort of following. But there are people that follow me that I've got their back and they've got mine. And it's like we're family, but we've never, ever, ever met.
Yeah.
Now, live video is what's created that. Otherwise, how else would they get to know me and my husband's name and my kid's name and my dog and, all that kind of stuff? It's just through, meeting people through the camera. So live video is super, super, super powerful. I think if people avoid it, they're missing opportunities to speed up the results in the business.
And not only live video, but being yourself, being a little raw, a little real, a little unscripted, unpolished, not perfect.
Yep. And
for you, that was the key. Now, was that moment, the moment of sharing those pictures with your community, was that the moment that it clicked?
Yeah.
And so from that moment on, as you were making videos, did you find that you started having more and more success when you stopped trying to be polished, Helen?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the human connection came. People started to connect with me more. When people connect with you, they comment more. Yeah. You get more engagement. When you get more engagement and more comments, the algorithm goes, oh, hello. There's people that like this person. We'll send this content out to more people. So the flow-on effect from having that connection with people, and I really do, probably too much, really care about my community. They're kind of like my family. We call them the online crew, and they know how much I care about them, but they only know that because of the way that I speak and the way that I come across on live video. You can't really tell that from a written post.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even just this training here, for those of you in the audience watching, how many of you feel like you at least know Helen and I a little bit? Like, we're not total strangers to you. You could be like, yeah, I know these women, like they're cool. And for those of you watching, how many of you have been putting this label of perfection on yourself? Oh, I can't do video unless my hair is perfect, unless my makeup is perfect, unless I'm wearing that red blazer, unless I look like everything's put together. Well, we're giving you permission right now to just throw all that stuff in the trash. You don't need it.
Absolutely. Recovering perfectionist here, and that story sort of proves that. But here's a really interesting point when people really sort of think about this. Think how popular reality TV is. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got their show that they don't want people to know that they watch, whether it's The Bachelor or Survivor. I'm not sure if all their shows are the same, or Married at First Sight, or, ridiculous shows, Love Island, or, whatever it is. People love reality TV. So you got to ask yourself, what's the reason behind that? It's not scripted. It's not perfected. You never know what's coming. It's just real. People are craving real.
Real. Yeah.
And people
Well, and
love reality TV. So it's that realness.
yes. And I can't tell you how many times, even with celebrities that are on social media sharing various things, where there's a celebrity just being like a regular person. They're not done up. They're like doing something funny. They're even making fun of themselves, like just being normal. And every comment underneath, I always knew I liked you. You're so down to earth. You're a regular person. You're my favorite. You're not like all those fake celebrities, right? They're the ones who are loved the most because they get raw.
Absolutely. A
Mhm.
fantastic example of that is you would know who Mel Robbins is.
Yeah.
You know, the person, yeah, the 5 4 3 2 1 do it anyway and the high five habit.
Yeah.
Like she's the first person to do a live video from bed, waking up first thing in the morning. Now you think somebody that teaches people how to be a better version of themselves, that they'd be a little bit skeptical or, you know, of showing the flaws and the bad stuff, but she
Yeah.
does that every single day. And I think that's why people respect her so much, because she's so real. And as I keep telling my audience, you'll never do enough personal development training that everything is going to be perfect. Stuff's going to go wrong in our lives. Life is going to get in the way, but it's how quickly you bounce back. And that's like a lot of her messages, like, oh, this happened and I didn't handle it well, but this is my lesson from that. Like it's, be messy. Everyone's messy. That's reality. And something I tell my community a lot is people resonate with your mess more than they resonate with perfection. So
Yes.
it's really something important to remember, because people don't connect with perfection. No one's perfect. Anybody striving to be perfect, that's not real.
It's not
If
real.
people turn up doing a live video in their pajamas, or something just went horribly wrong and they go live and share it, they're like, oh, if they can do that, maybe I might be able to
Maybe I
do
can
it
do
too.
that.
Like it gives people more hope, I think.
Oh, yeah. And I've heard it stated, your mess is your message and your
Yes.
struggle is your story.
Yes. Love it.
And that's what people want, right? They want the realness. And so I actually want to circle back to something that you first talked about when you were telling us your story, when you were like, I have to get on video. Like, what the heck am I supposed to say? And someone gave you that advice of like, listen, just read this book and share with people what you're learning from the book. I've heard of that strategy before. I've heard it described as learning out loud, just sharing whatever it is that you're learning with something. And so even though you were this general manager, you were an expert in corporate America, you were brand new to online business. So you were like, I don't know what I'm doing, right? But you were willing to learn out loud and share what you were learning with your audience. Like, do you have any other tips for people who are watching this and realizing like, ooh, this is hitting me just right? I know that this is the thing I need to action right now, but how do I get started if I don't know what to talk about?
Really, really good question. So a couple of things around that is, if somebody really doesn't know what to talk about and they don't have a personal brand yet, they're just trying to work out how they want to stand online and what they want to be known for and all that kind of stuff. So that's still sort of fairly new. I
Mm-hmm.
always fall back on personal development type topics, like
Mm-hmm.
a book, a really good
Yeah.
book, an inspirational book, or something like that, because 99% of the planet are walking around worrying way too much about what people think about them,
Yeah.
holding themselves back, not doing, letting fear be bigger than their dreams. Like there are so many things that you can say and share genuinely from your journey that other people are going to relate to you as a human being. We're not looking to anybody to be an expert in something that they're not. You're just looking initially to get the human connection with
Yeah.
other people that go, that's a really good point. That's inspiring. That's
Mhm.
empowering. She's talking to me, or him, or whatever it is
Yeah.
with a message, and you share it from your perspective, like, I'm growing and I'm learning, and if this helps anybody out there, I just want to share this because this is important to me. I'm trying to be the best version of myself. This is something I read the other day and I just thought I'd share this with you, because if it's just one person, it helps you be a better version of yourself, then I'll be happy. Like, that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
Just start with sharing things that most human beings are going to relate to. But
Mhm.
here's the other kicker that is so important.
Yeah.
Don't talk at people, talk with people. So
Mm.
what I mean by that is I see a lot of people that start with live video and they turn into a robot, and they've got a sheet of paper with 5 tips. Right, here's 5 tips to be a better version of yourself. Blah, tip one, blah, tip two, blah. Like they forget to be a human being,
Yeah.
and that's talking at people. That's not
Mhm.
talking with. So the quicker that somebody can just look at that camera and treat it like there's somebody sitting in your lounge room
Yeah.
and have a conversation, even if no one's there, Just say, so, this is what I'm going through. And for me, blah, blah, blah. Like, what do you think about that? And there may be a big fat zero of somebody watching live, but somebody on a replay doesn't know that.
Yeah, they don't know that.
They don't know that. So you can have a conversation with no one watching. No one watching the replay will know that. But that's when people feel included and connected, is when you're actually having a conversation. And that's a weird concept, because it's like, well, no one's there. I'm talking to a dot. Like, it's weird. I said, yeah, it might be weird in the beginning, but if you just think about it, like the dot is somebody in your lounge room, and have somebody's face in mind and talk to your customer avatar, like, all those marketing type terms, if you know what they are, like talk to one person, don't talk to everybody. And say words like what are your thoughts around that? I'd love to know, just talk to that one person.
Make it conversational, not like you're reading a script.
Yeah, make it conversational and talk with people on the video, not at people, because a lot of people turn up and try to teach.
Yeah.
Information is all around us. If we want to learn something, we'll go to Google and go, how do I, blah, blah, blah. Like, people can be taught stuff all the time. Having an actual genuine conversation with somebody lands completely differently. That's kind of just a couple of tips around that.
Yeah, I love that. Now, for the more seasoned entrepreneur who maybe they're really well versed with video, they're totally comfortable with it, they're more than happy to get on video, but they're noticing a shift. And I'm noticing this shift in the market. I don't know if you are, but I'd love to pick your brain about it.
Sure.
I'm seeing a shift where the whole world is changing. I mean, it has been changing rapidly for the last few years. Like, that's no surprise to anyone. Yeah. But I'm seeing a shift culturally where attention spans are getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Yeah. And focus is disappearing. People have a really hard time focusing on just one thing. Like, I can't tell you how often I'm talking to people and they're like, oh yeah, I signed up for 5 challenges last week and 3 programs and I haven't done anything with any of them. And it's like, whoa. Yeah. What are your tips, your top tips on how to still grab attention in this world where there's a lack of focus and there's a lack of attention span out there?
Yeah, so a couple of things around that. One is, if you don't already have an established audience, don't talk too long on video, because they're just going to tune out. Yeah. If you've got more of an established, you've been around for a while and you're watching this training, and you can get away with it because you've got a captive audience. If you've got an audience, like I'll talk for 20 minutes to half an hour on every one of my live videos. And every time I'm like, man, have I gone that long again? Like
what the hell?
Yeah, read all the comments like, oh, I've talked too long. I've got to get off. And because I'm just mindful, it's like, oh, half an hour. Like, I am extremely grateful for someone to spend half an hour with me. And I try to shorten them because I know that. So one tip is, depending on how well known you are on social media. So if you're not very well known, talk like less, because exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. But try to do longer than probably like a minute or two. Like, you don't want to get on and go blah, 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 and get off, because the algorithm can't do anything with that. Like, that's going nowhere.
Yeah.
You haven't even given anyone the opportunity to jump on with you, that kind of thing. So, somewhere 5-10 minutes if you sort of knew. So there is that. Gauge the level of audience that you have as to how long you sort of talk.
Sure.
The other thing, and this is not really related to the actual live video, but it's a very important skill. It's the description of what you put on your live.
Yeah.
Particularly for the replay viewer. So the one thing you don't want to do when you do live video is go live without a description. And if you go live on Facebook, there's 2 spots. There's a title and a description. Fill out both. Because some people fill out the title, which is actually what people see after the fact when somebody's scanning somebody's videos. They'll see the title. But if you don't fill out description, the video appears with no wording.
Okay.
So some people will put the title and go, well, I put a title, but the title is just what appears underneath the video after the fact. There's no description, so you have to fill out both. But people are busy. We've got about 6 seconds to grab someone's attention. So it's what you're actually talking about. It's the description that will stop the scroll. So one, if you don't write anything at all, why would they watch you?
Yeah.
There's no reason to.
Yeah.
It's a face. Now, if you're going like that or something like that, they might like, oh,
maybe they would. I don't know.
We'll have to watch that. But it's learning a bit of, and this is not going to happen off the bat, but if you can learn the skill quicker rather than later. It's just putting something with a bit of curiosity on the title. Like, this is absolutely something that's going to change your business, or this is the biggest piece of advice I ever got, or like, you don't actually allude necessarily to what you're talking. You just leave some curiosity, so people will go, what's she talking about, or what's he talking about? I better catch that. So you give people a reason to watch, is basically what I'm saying. You need to give people a reason to watch, because there's too many other pieces of content and information. We wake up in the morning, we open our phone, our email, have the radio on, whatever. It's information overload.
Yeah.
So we have to learn to stand out from the crowd, and that will come a lot from, well, how are you doing that? So the description and a bit of copywriting, and, if you just say 5 tips to be a better version of yourself, is that really going to be attractive for somebody to watch? So just getting a little bit, like, learn that skill early, just a bit of copywriting skills and a bit of sneakiness, not sneakiness, just curiosity.
Like curiosity. I mean, humans by nature, we're curious.
Yes.
So especially if you have a title and a description that begs curiosity, like the tip that I thought was total BS, but it changed my life.
Great example.
People would be like, what? Well, first of all, what made you think it was BS? And then how did it change your life? Like,
yeah.
Right.
And what I like to teach people to do, or just make them more aware of, is instead of just being like, when you're consuming social media, when you're reading your emails, when you're looking at content all around you, look at it with a marketing hat as well as a consumer's hat. So everybody scrolls, everybody gets emails every day. When you see something that's like, oh, I wonder what that is, what was the words that made you think that? Like, write them down. Like, have a really high level of awareness of what attracts your attention, because that might be a clue as to a headline or how something was written that you can use in your social media headlines and descriptions and stuff like that moving forward. So have a high level of awareness of what grabs your attention, stops your scroll, because that might give you some clues as to how you could use that for yourself.
Oh yeah, that's smart. That's really smart. So as you're building out this powerful personal brand, right, which of course, once you start building it and it starts accumulating, I mean, it's almost like an online reputation. It doesn't just disappear. It takes a long time to build, but then it can also last the test of time.
Yep.
What percentage of the content that you're putting out is video versus other types of content? Like, do you have an ideal mix that you found that people enjoy?
Well, I'll give you a little bit of a backstory to that. So I started with 2 live videos a week when I was learning. That's what I got told, and I'm coachable. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I don't like it. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'll do it. Then when I got some people watching, and I'll just backtrack for a second, 2 live videos a week. One was on personal development because it was easy. And one was starting to develop my brand, like attraction marketing, social media, and things like that. I was more comfortable in talking about personal development, and it must have shown and come through on my videos, because guess what kind of audience I was starting to attract. Like, I'll never forget, in my small country town here, I went to a 40th. This is a few years ago. And one of the mums from school was like, I love your videos. I watch all your videos. I've learned so much from you about being a better person and whatever. And I'm like, I'm attracting the wrong audience. And these people are never going to opt in to what I was offering with attraction marketing. So I had to shift that a little bit. And now I still talk about personal development once a week, but I'm always relating it back to the reason that helps us build a business online. Like, I'm always relating it back to what I'm actually doing, for a living type thing. So there's one, it's the positioning of sort of the videos that you do. What are you focusing on? So I did 2 a week. So even though I stuck with 2 a week for a while, I changed my language around that one and always related it back to business, not just personal development for the sake of personal development, if that makes sense. Then when I started to get some viewers, just a few, not many, I thought, I'm going to up my game and do 3. So I did 3 live videos a week, and then I really started to get some traction, and then I did 5. So I was doing 5 live videos a week, probably for about 2 years.
Wow.
Is that required? No.
But clearly, I mean, look, it helped you build this downline of over 4,000 people.
It did. And it brought me the following, and I've got over 17,000 people following me on my business page, and like it helped. Do I think we need to do that to be successful? No, I don't. And where it started to impact me, I've got a couple of teenage boys, and so in my time zone in Australia, I don't go live on a Monday because it's Sunday in the US and Canada. So it's like, well, leave people alone on the weekend. So I go live in Australia from Tuesday to Saturday. Well, I did. Saturday is Saturday morning sport. And the time I was going live was when my son was playing football.
Yeah. And he's probably thinking like, Mom, pay attention to me. Like this is family time, right?
You know what still hurts me? Oh. I've been going to my son's football game every week for at least a year and a half. I stopped going live 5 times a week at least 18 months ago. He still asks me, the season's just finished, Mum, are you coming to my game today? Like, it's not a given that I would go. Oh. And even though I've been going regularly, it's like, are you coming? Like, and I'm like, why do you even need to ask? I go to your games every week. Like, I'm not saying that to him literally.
But you're thinking like, wait a minute now.
So what he's remembering is that I wasn't there a lot of the time. Or I was there, but I would sit in the car and disappear and go live and then go back out to the ground. But I missed.
But even that period of time that you missed really stood out in his mind.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? Whatever hits people emotionally sticks with them the longest and that can work in your favor or against you. This is my little office buddy. You can come by me, sweetie. So here's the interesting thing I noticed. When I was building a personal brand online, I was consistently putting out content. I was being my true authentic self. I was just doing my thing, right? And it took a really long time, but I built up a brand, a reputation. And then I went through this phase of my life where I was moving, it was chaotic, things were going on. I was testing all these different things in my business and social media. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to post anything for 3 months. Wow. I'm going to basically let the algorithm go cold. And build it back up to show people that the fundamental things will always work, right? So I purposely nothing. And it was interesting because I saw someone about 2.5 months into that 3-month silence. And they were like, oh, I love your stuff. I see it all the time. You're always so positive. Like, I look forward to it all the time. Like, I just wanted to say thank you. I hadn't posted anything, but because the stuff I had been posting before hit them emotionally, even though I had gone dark, they felt like I was still there. And I'm seeing the flip side of that with your son of you missed a few little pieces of a few games. And because it hit him emotionally, 18 months later, he's still asking, Mom, are you going to come to my game?
Yeah, it hits hard. And, the one thing I do love about social media, a lot of us will talk about, and I'm sure you do too, about consistency and authenticity and all the rest of it. But life does get in the way sometimes. And some people, when they freak out, oh, I can't do this, or I can't do this, have some grace with yourself and whatever's going on in your life, because social media can be very forgiving. Most of us will always say, make sure you're consistent, because if you disappear, they'll start following somebody else. Yes, they may be, but if you did a good job when you were doing it in the first place and you're really connected with human connection, they'll come back. Social media is forgiving that way, what you experienced. But we'll always harp on consistency, because people that are more consistent, like I was, you get the results. But after that, I was like, no more. So I dropped Saturdays. And then I started doing Clubhouse regularly on a Wednesday in my time zone. And I'm like, I really don't expect people to listen to me for an hour on Clubhouse and then an hour and a half later listen to me on a live. That's a bit much. So I dropped Wednesdays because I concentrate on Clubhouse. So now I'm back to three times a week. But I am religious. And what I say to people about live, oh, I can't find the right time, or I'm so inconsistent, just pick a time and just, make that a commitment. I don't make appointments at that time of the day, because that's when I go live. That's my commitment to my audience, because my business is important to me.
And you honor that time, you protect that time, you take it seriously.
Absolutely. And it's something that if someone's watching that's like, oh, yeah, I should get started, or how many should I do, or anything like that, what I would say to that person is just get started and get consistent with just one. Just start and just do one. But what I would recommend with that one, it's like people's favorite TV show. They know what night it's on and what time it's on. Do live that way and label it. So
Yeah.
call it Monday motivation or Tuesday tip or Wednesday wisdom or Thursday thought, and do it at the same time on the same day every week and make it into your show.
Yeah.
When we turn up more regularly and more consistently, then people will turn up more regularly with us. And that's exactly what happened when I decided to up my game and choose the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work for a lot of people. Like my UK people are asleep when I go live now
Mm-hmm.
because the way our time zones are. But I know they catch the replay and I acknowledge them. I'm like, for my UK viewers, I'm so sorry you don't get to catch it. Like I know they're there.
Yeah.
So if you do a good job, people will catch the replay anyway. You can't keep everybody happy when you've got a global audience. But that's probably
Mm-hmm.
a starting point for someone. Pick a day, pick a time, do your absolute best to be
Yeah.
consistent with that, and call it something, like label it something so people get to know,
Yeah.
oh, it's Adrian's Monday motivation or something. I bet I
Yeah.
wonder what she said this week. Like, so it just helps you grow that audience. When you're more consistent, your audience will show up more consistently.
Yeah, I love it. Now, do you go live through the social media app, or do you like using any like scheduling or automation tools? Or like, I know there's some platforms that will allow you to go live to multiple places at once, and all kinds of fancy stuff is out there. So what's your favorite?
Yeah, so that's a really good question too, because I think when anyone starts, you just go direct through the platform, which
Sure.
just for me was Facebook. And I started going live when I first started getting a little bit smarter, and I wanted to show people's comments on the screen. I started with, and this isn't any endorsement for any pieces of software. I don't get paid for any of that. I'm just sharing my experience, just to clarify. I started using Be Live TV.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I used. And then StreamYard came out.
Mm-hmm.
So I use StreamYard every live because it enables me to schedule them in advance. So
Yeah.
people know what I'm talking about and when I'm going live. It enables me to show comments on the screen, and people love being acknowledged. It enables me to put banners down the bottom. It enables me to play my little video intro. So it's just, I think as you grow into those things. But why I love StreamYard is most people can get away with the free version. So it's a free piece of software, and it just makes you a little bit more professional.
Yeah.
And pulling somebody's screen, like acknowledging your audience is huge. People love to be heard. So to be able to put somebody's comment up on the screen for a little free piece of software, you can put if you've got a logo's unimportant on social media, but if you've got one, you can put it up there, those kind of things. So I do recommend StreamYard because it's so user friendly.
Yes. And I've used it and I agree. I love it for all the same reasons. It's a very powerful tool, and it's pretty darn easy to use, honestly.
It is. I mean, anything new, like people say, I don't know how to use it. It's like, well, if you really tried, it's like when somebody does a reel for the first time. I don't know what to do. It's like, well, just it's like riding a bike. You got to learn the skill. It's okay.
Yeah. And then the minute you learn, it feels like no big deal, and you just,
Exactly. And, I have the paid version of StreamYard now. So when I go live on my business page, my free group, and YouTube all at the same time. And I have my phone next to me, and I go live at Instagram at the same time as well.
Oh.
So Instagram, and it's not ideal because you are looking away a bit, but I just acknowledge it. And it's like, hey to those watching on Instagram,
guys.
And Facebook and YouTube here. So I'm acknowledging it. I'm waiting for the day where Instagram will allow third-party platforms to integrate like that. But they don't play ball with StreamYard or Be Live TV. And I'm not sure what their problem is, but I'm looking forward to the day when Instagram will be connected to StreamYard, so I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some people who love catching you on Instagram because it's a little bit more raw, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that kind of makes it more fun for them. I don't know. I mean,
but
that's a smart tip. Like, why not just have the phone up right next to where you're going live and
I've got my little, well, you won't be able to see it. It's just a little swing thing where I put my phone in there, and I'm just looking up a little bit, and if somebody pops in and actually says hello, I can see the comments and I'll acknowledge them.
Yeah. Oh, I love that tip. So clearly, I mean, can you give us some examples of like clients you've worked with that you've helped them get started with building their personal brand, using video? What types of results are possible? What have you witnessed with your own clients of what can happen when you truly leverage the power of a personal brand?
It's amazing. So when something I'm really passionate about, as well as sort of video, is personal branding. And I have a whole separate course. I'm currently running my 29th round of that course at the moment.
Wow.
And it transforms people, Adrian. Like when people know who they're serving and what they stand for and how they can help people, and they show up online,
Mm-hmm.
incorporate live video with that, the content flows, the
Mm-hmm.
personality grows, the audience attracts, the influence builds. So not
Mm-hmm.
only once you get an audience, then you get results,
Yeah.
because and the live video in that, like helping growing your personal brand, it can help speed it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I see people transform, like I do, and I've done it for about 4 years now, just free video challenges.
Okay.
Just about to start another one, and people like freaking out about live video, and like, I
Yeah.
don't know if I can do it. And it's like, yes you can. It's just fear, it's just your ego. You're just worried about what people are going to think about you. Like, think about
Mm-hmm.
how you can serve people. Think
Yeah.
about, like, who can I help today? Just change your mindset around that. 3 days in, they're like, what was I freaking out about? This is kind of fun.
Yeah.
14 days later, they're like, I love this. I've got all this good engagement. I've got all this feedback and whatever. And then that propels them to actually get more focused with a personal brand. So one can feed the other. They don't necessarily come in a particular order. And then I see them grow a following, um, build a team because they're attracting people to them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that grows into multiple streams of income, because it's like
Mm-hmm.
once you've got an audience, you can actually expand and do different things like
Oh,
I have.
sure.
Like, I've got 11 different streams of income.
Yeah.
Most of them are related with what I do.
Mm-hmm.
But you see it on people's faces, you see it in their audience that grows, the influence that grows, the confidence that grows. And when people have confidence,
Yeah.
that's all the difference. Where they'll have conversations that they wouldn't have had before. They
It's a
will
game
sell
changer.
something that they were too nervous to sell before. They
Yeah.
will offer out something that they were too nervous to offer out before. So
Mm-hmm.
growing teams, in network marketing, growing multiple income streams, if somebody wants to grow into that, like all of that flows from building that presence online, but
Yeah.
standing behind something. Like, my motto is, you got to be a human before you're a marketer in this industry. If in other industries, when you've created the thing, you own the thing, it's your brand, it's your thing, go and sell, because you're the only one that has it in the world.
Yeah.
In this industry of home-based direct selling, social selling, we don't own the thing.
Right. We're all
So
selling the same thing. So we have to stand out.
that's where the personal brand comes in. Like, you've got to have your own thing. You've got to learn to stand out from the crowd. You've got to have your own personality behind that. You have to find your own voice. So a personal
Mm-hmm.
brand is finding that voice, but you put live video with that as well. Now you're really finding your voice, because you're sharing that, your thoughts and your the education and the value. And everyone knows
Mm-hmm.
we need to lead with value,
Yeah.
and building a personal brand enables you to build on that value and build that confidence, so you can build an audience. So then you've got the know, like, and trust factor
Yeah.
up here.
Mm-hmm.
That's when people won't be afraid to reach out to you and send you a message, say, I get this all the time, I've been following you for months and I have no idea who they are, because
Yeah.
they've done it in quiet. So many people watch
They've
people
been
on.
like watching, like silently
Yeah,
watching. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But building a personal brand, like, you're giving some people something to focus on. When people are here, there, and everywhere, like, they don't have a brand to stand behind. It's like, well, if you're here, there, and everywhere, so's your audience and so's your results. So
Mm-hmm.
for anyone listening to this that is a little bit all over the place, I would encourage you to maybe think about your personal brand and whether that's defined enough. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not, a brand is not live the life of your dreams. That's not a brand. And I
Mm-hmm.
see, especially in money making opportunities, network marketing, a lot of people, like, they spruik that, live freedom, like, have freedom. That's not a brand. It's not defined enough. People don't know who you're talking to. They don't know what you're teaching. They don't know what value you can bring to them. So
Mm-hmm.
those kind of things is where you really learn about personal branding. And it's like, okay, who am I talking to? Who is my target market? What do I stand for? What problems can I solve for people?
Mm-hmm.
That's where you develop the brand, and that's when the results come.
Yeah.
That's when I see students get results, is when they get defined in their personal brand. They know what they stand for. They find their own voice, bring in live video and show up and share good,
Mm-hmm.
valuable information that's related to that brand. So here's something to answer your question as well. When people say,
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what to talk about on live video, my comeback to that is, I don't think you know what your personal brand is.
If you
Because
knew what your brand was, you'd have tons of ideas.
there you go.
Mm-hmm.
There
Because
you
you'd know
go.
exactly who you are, who you help, and how you help them. And if
Exactly.
you know those three things, you'll have loads of ideas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
So what you've observed, and I think this is interesting and hopefully really encouraging for the audience, especially if they haven't been using video yet, that consistently, person after person, you see that after they are consistently going live for only 2 weeks, they're seeing more engagement, they're seeing their following increase, they're seeing their belief increase, and they're starting to get clarity on what they think their brand is. They're starting to dig into those levels where they're like, it's clicking for them in as little as 2 weeks.
Absolutely. It blows me away. Like I just spoke on stage in Vegas back in July, and someone came up to me and said, "You have no idea how you've changed my life." Like, it's almost embarrassing. Through a video challenge, like through just a free 14-day video challenge, because I was like, I never had the confidence to do it before. You gave me the technical skills, you gave me the content guidelines, you made it so easy. People showed up, they watched me, I got engagement, that gave me confidence, and now I've defined my brand, and it's like, you have changed my life. And I'm like, no, I'm not. You changed your life. Like,
right. I just gave you a couple tools, but you did the work, right?
Exactly. But that I see that, maybe not to that extent all the time, but I see versions of that every single time I do these video challenges, and it's like, it's 14 days, and some people get it over 3 days. They're like, this is kind of fun, and people are showing up and telling me, oh, I love watching you live, and that is enough for somebody to go, that's pretty cool. I'm not too bad at this. I'm going to keep
doing it. And then the consistency is what really gets them the return on the results.
Exactly. And then you can't help but grow your skills in branding and copywriting and all the rest of it when you keep on doing it, because you just get better and better and better at what you're doing. And then you get more focused and intentional on what you're talking about.
And then it starts to feel fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in that. And in all my video challenges, I say to people, if you're not having fun, something's wrong. Like, my one condition here is that you got to have fun doing this. You have to
have fun. Yeah.
Because you'll wake up one morning and go, oh, I don't want to go live. Like, there will be days where you don't feel like it, and it's like, just have fun with it and tell people, I'm in a live video challenge and I didn't want to do the live today. I don't feel like it. I've got a headache, and share it.
Yeah. Be real. Just be real. Well, I love that. So for those in the audience who are ready to build a powerful personal brand, and they're realizing, I do want to get started with video, but I want to do it right. Like, I want to do it right from the very beginning, right? I know you have a free gift that can help them to venture down that pathway. Would you like to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. I've created a guide by doing, over 4 years, video challenges over and over and over again. You get to see patterns of where people make the most common mistakes. Mm-hmm. So I've put together a guide with the 15 most common mistakes that I see people make with live video. So I've mapped them all out so somebody can get all of that out of the way in the things that, not to do. Because it's just little things like, I'll give you one example. When you go live on Facebook, when it's directly through the platform, Facebook sometimes tell you, especially if they're a friend of yours, Facebook sometimes tell you, not 100% of the time, but they'll sometimes tell you who's watching.
Yeah.
So you might say,
so-and-so popped on.
Yeah. Rachel is watching. Now, Rachel hasn't made a comment, but Facebook has said Rachel's watching. Now, Rachel is somebody that you went to school with, that's spying on you, that's intrigued about what you're doing in the network market, but they don't want you to know that they're watching. And the person goes, hi, Rachel, haven't seen you for ages. It's so good to see you watching. And Rachel didn't know that you knew that they were watching, because Rachel didn't.
And it freaked her out and she left.
Yep, because the exact thing happened to me. I jumped on this guy's video that I did not like. He'd pissed me off. He'd ripped me off. Total different story. And I jumped on, oh, what's he talking about? And he went, hi, Helen. And I went, oh.
Like, turn it off.
I was out of there in a second, and I've never watched a live video of his. So I know what it's like on the receiving end. It's just such an innocent thing for somebody to do on live video.
Yeah. And they don't realize it's a mistake.
They don't realize it's
They're trying to engage with their audience, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So my guide is full of, they're not all as dramatic as that, but my guide is full of the 15 most common mistakes that I see people make in live video. So let's get those out of the way. Yeah. Let's get the mistakes out of the way, and let's give you the best head start. So that's what that guide is all about.
Oh, I love that. Like, hey, let's skip all of those potential pitfalls and just go right to the good stuff so people can be great right out of the gates. I love it. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Impactful Entrepreneur Show. If you found amazing value here, like, subscribe, and leave us a review to help other people find the high value content that we share, and find us on social media so we can continue the conversation. See you in the next episode.